Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Episode 1. Can't believe it's actually happening, to be honest, because it's been a long time coming. Like, as you know, we've been speaking for ages, haven't we? And it's finally pulling it together. So welcome to episode 1 of Shapes of Resilience.
Thanks so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. So Shapes of Resilience, where we explore the power of overcoming adversity, finding strength in the struggles and shaping resilience through life's toughest moments. Today I'm joined by Stella Grace. Stella's an old school friend, first and foremost. Grew up together same year at school, all the way through primary school and secondary school, and then just went off on our own paths and lives and just bumped into each other down at St Mary's Bay, and it was clear we'd both been on our journeys, and it was a good time to reconnect.
Definitely, with kids in tow and a few more stories to tell.
Definitely. That was the energy.
Yeah.
So Stella is a therapist, mentor, Reiki master, teacher, astrologer, tarot reader, aromatherapist, and aspiring author.
Yes.
Have I missed anything?
To name a few. A speaker. I've done a few talks as well about
presenter.
My story. I've done a previous stint in radio, which I'm really looking forward to getting back to.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
And she's an advocate for personal transformation.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Stella has a first-class degree. She has spent 15 years supporting young people struggling with their own drug and alcohol misuse and struggles, and she's dedicated her life to helping others.
Yeah.
Stella's path was shaped by deep personal hardship.
For sure.
And in this episode, we're going to explore the impact of childhood trauma, breaking cycles, and finding purpose through adversity.
Absolutely.
So this is Stella's story.
Yeah, amazing. Well, again, thanks so much for having me. And I am really passionate about sharing my story. It's not something that's always been easy, and it might not be entirely easy today, but I'm here and I'm up for it, because if my story hopefully inspires anybody or just, encourages anybody to think a little bit differently about the trauma they've experienced, then I'm happy. And that's, I feel like is a big part of my contribution. I'm going to start with some of the gratitude. I'm really blessed to have been loved unconditionally by my mum. So she was a very loving parent, which actually, I think things would be incredibly different for me now if I had not experienced that unconditional love. So I'm always really grateful and mindful of that. I've certainly had my anger about, what I've been through, and I've certainly had difficulties about it. But looking back from where I am now, from a much more healed place, I think the learning and the healing and the growing is lifelong. But from where I stand now, I look back and I'm grateful for that love. It was very marred by her own needs. So her needs were such that mine weren't met, really, ultimately. And she was a chronic alcoholic. She was a dear woman. She was a beautiful soul. She was a very gentle soul. But she struggled with her own needs to the point where she had to drink on a really repetitive basis. And that, of course, led to my neglect extremely. Men in the property. I wasn't in a safe environment. I was exposed to drugs and alcohol really young myself. That was huge. I was exposed to exploitation, sexual abuse. Lots of things happened that no child should go through. No. And I witnessed a lot of things that no child should witness as well. And just generally a real sense of a lack of safety, unpredictability, instability. And I did normal stuff, but I definitely didn't feel normal. And I definitely felt like I carried this dirty secret. Yeah. It was like what was happening at home was a dirty secret. It was very shameful to me. I desperately wanted to fit in. I desperately wanted to feel normal and like everyone else. And to me, it was, my situation was really like weird and horrific and at home, and I was quite ashamed. And I'd look at everyone else and think everyone else has got it together. Everyone else's family is, amazing and normal. And I just strived to be like that, but was very silent about what was happening to me.
Yeah. And I said to you the other day that, like, growing up with you and in the same year, as kids back then, we'd all know each other's secrets, and it wasn't something that people spoke about.
No.
It was quite shocking, actually, to hear that that's your childhood and your story.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea.
And that's the way I wanted it, to be really honest. That was how I wanted it.
But how hard's that, keeping that, all of that as like your secret from everyone? Did you have people at school that you did confide in that did know about that?
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of close friends, and obviously anyone that came to my house, anyone that, did sleepovers or came would know. what it was like, and they did experience. And I had a really good friend who also had, you know, some of the similar difficulties. So we were in that together, but, you know, still it was this unspoken, dirty, just hidden harm. And this is another thing I'm really passionate about, challenging myself to speak out about it now. So part of the, you know, purpose I feel of my book and of my talks and of having these conversations is not just for other people to feel inspired that might have been through this, but also the professionals and the services that are around for kids that don't want to talk about it, because you're also loyal to that parent. As I said, my mum was really loving, but even a malicious parent, you know, you're naturally of the position as a child where you're either internalizing it, like I did, and I didn't feel like it was my fault at the time, but equally it created a limiting belief where I've always struggled, and really recently really reframed this limiting belief that I'm not good enough. So children really internalize that stuff, and it's not easy to talk. We don't have the skills to talk about it.
Well, it takes a hell of a lot of bravery and courage, doesn't it? And you don't realise what's the other side of being brave until you've done it. Yeah,
exactly. And when you're in a place where you feel safe enough to start talking about it, that can take, you know,
that's
a long time. Yeah.
Because if you have the courage to tell someone that you've had that thing bottled up for so long, and you tell the wrong person in the wrong environment, and it's not used to help you, then it just like could really damage you even further, couldn't it?
Absolutely.
And prevent you from actually ever speaking out again.
Yeah. And by its very nature, it's also something that's quite hidden, because you don't want to get your parent in trouble. And also you might feel like you've done something wrong in that, you know, by nature of abuse, some abusers are very much with the energy of don't cause upset, don't get anyone in trouble, you don't want to upset your mum. You know, that kind of energy as well is really prolific for some people. So it's been colourful for the good and the bad. So there's a lot of skills and resilience that I've gained from all of those experiences, but there's been some really big traumas.
We're going to go straight into it, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
So the 8th of February 2003.
Yeah.
So I know this is a significant moment in your life. So take me back to that time. What happened and how did it change your life?
Yeah, so huge, Ollie. That was the day that I found my mum passed away. I burst into her house and found her drowned in the bath. She'd been on a particularly heavy bender for 2 or 3 days, drunk, and I don't think she'd gotten much sleep, and she'd fallen asleep in the bath, and I found her drowned. And yeah, huge. And something that, you know, because there'd been so many other traumas, I mean, this was absolutely huge, but there'd been so many other traumas. I found that later I'd almost started describing it in quite a desensitized way. So that's something else that's really interesting about trauma. But that
just became part of your story. You're telling the story.
Yeah.
Without kind of actually being present and feeling it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, you know, it's almost funny if it wasn't so horrific, you know, that I remember talking to a colleague and in the drugs world when we were working with kids, and he said, you know, the office was quiet one day and we were getting to know each other a little bit more. And he asked about my family, and I told him about my mum, and I said, you know, so that was a bit of a shock. And he was like, he looked at me square on, he was like, Stella, that was a bit of a shock. Are you fucking joking me? Like, you know, there's a huge...
it's more...
It's
nothing
horrendous
can prepare
trauma.
you for that moment.
No, nothing at all. But in reality, there'd been lots of bit of a shocks, you know, and that was kind of... So I've always known, you know, a lot of trauma, but how that significant event and other traumas in an accumulation effect up to that point really changed me. And I'm going to say for the better as well. And I know that sounds really strange to some people. It was horrific, and this isn't desensitizing it now. It was awful. And it was, of course, I'd rather my mum was here. You know, of course, I'd rather have had, you know, a settled life and we'd both been, you know, happy, and she'd gone on to be, you know, content. But it wasn't. And actually, with the situations that we've had, how that has changed me is 3 months later after that day, I'd actually, to be honest, I got drunk for about 3 months, Ollie. I was, you know, self-medicating, and I got to a point and it was just such a clear knowing. 3 months later, it was a fork in the road appeared. And I don't know if this was, my higher guidance or my soul or what, but I knew categorically that it was like, okay, you can carry on as you are. And there was no judgment in this. It was just like a knowing. It was like, you can carry on as you are and go the same way. Something similar will happen to you. Carry on as you are now, and you're looking at the same kind of route as your mum. Or you can stop now and make something different. And I just knew intuitively that was the day everything changed, and my whole life has changed since.
Really?
Yeah, it was like that clear. And I got a job working away in France with kids doing outdoor activities, instructing like rock climbing and stuff. And that set off the new chapter of youth work. I came back, got all my rock climbing qualifications. But it was that decision to go. And I think actually getting out of Brixham, getting out of that environment for 6 months was the best thing I could have ever done, and didn't look back. And I just knew that from that point, helping people, helping kids with challenging circumstances and backgrounds, and whether it was drug or alcohol or any other, issue-based stuff, that was what I was putting some of my experiences into good use for.
Yeah. So prior to that happening,
yeah,
was helping others, and was that something you'd always thought about doing, or was it kind of that fork in the road moment? The
fork in the road was the biggest instigator of change, but there'd been another profound moment where I was asked at school when we were 13, I was asked that question, what do you want to be when you're older? And I just said, I was thinking in my mind, I want to help stop people going through what I'm going through. But I said, because I would never have said that out loud, but I said to the teacher, I want to help other people. Yeah. Kind of like a counselling role. But always in my mind, I think from as early, like 13 was probably as early enough as I could understand it cognitively.
But that's amazing, because you can always use your pain in two ways. You can use it to self-destruct and, like you said, go down a path where you could see you were heading, which wouldn't have been where you are today. Yeah, or you can use your pain to stop others from going through the pain you'd had, isn't it? Which is your fork in the road.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've had a lot of therapy. I've done a lot of things that have supported me. I'm not going to. It's that fork in the road didn't unfortunately mean right. Okay, I'm happy and sorted now. That's my decision. It's done, and life's all good. Of course, I've had like phases where I've struggled with distractions, like negative, toxic relationships. All
but
the things.
That's life. You could. You had two directions. Yeah. And you had a destination that way.
For sure.
It's never going to be a smooth path. No. But you knew that's the way that you needed to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was no other choice for me. I was like, this is happening. Like it for me. My career was a real driver of that. It was a real great vehicle of change, and it was something I was really passionate about. Still am. I look back with so much fondness of those years. So
no, I think we crossed paths.
Yeah, we did.
10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And we were working on a project.
In the youth offending team.
In youth offending. Yeah. And I came for a meeting with your team, and I could see how passionate and professional you were. Yeah. And it was nice, actually. I thought, oh, good on you. That's like, you can see you're making a difference with the young people.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's it's so rewarding, but I imagine frustrating and hard to help people that sometimes don't want to be helped.
For sure. And you know what, looking back though at those years with such fondness, one of the things out of everything, we get I did trained as a drugs counsellor, and we get trained on harm reduction techniques, and you get trained on, solution focused therapies and all of these different interventions and trying to help people reduce or whatever. But actually, when I look back, and this always stays with me, and because I think it's really transferable to everything, is the most powerful intervention of all was, how are you doing today? What do you need? How are you? How can I support you today? And that throughout was probably the biggest. It was probably the biggest intervention I did in those 15 years, and it's it's in everyday life now and in other roles.
More value do you feel that someone like yourself with the lived experience? So when you're sat in a room with someone, and I don't know, did you say to them openly that you'd had your struggles, or did you keep it?
I occasionally. So one of the things I loved about it is we did build a lot, relationships. We built up long-term relationships. It went with the kids that wanted to engage. Yeah. And of course, you have to give something of yourself. You're asking for trust, and you've got to share in that two-way process. So, yeah, for sure. But I never went into detail because that would have been, unprofessional. But definitely it was like, you can't learn all this out of a textbook. No. It was...
You can probably tell just from your eyes.
Energy and,
and I feel the same in my profession, and people can just tell that you're on that, like, non-judgmental level of like, this isn't your fault. I hear what you're saying, and you can't pretend that.
Yeah, and
it's
I
got
think
to come from like a natural place.
It really has. I think that's so powerful in a role like that, and like what you do, because, you know, you're connecting with people.
You can forget sometimes. It's easy to forget and sometimes put up barriers to protect your own energy, because you can't physically have empathy to give to everyone in a job where you're continuously exposed to trauma and mental health and sadness and death. You've got to be careful like look after your own balance, haven't you? So I imagine that's the same when you're caring for lots of young people and you want to save them all.
Yeah.
But they're not all savable.
They're really not, and that's the really sad thing. And you want to bring them all home for a good bath and soup or whatever, and you can't, of course. But yeah, again, this is transferable. The people that want to receive support or want to receive healing or want to receive, you know, the intervention back then, whatever it is, and I guess you'll have that experience as well. People that want to cooperate and be on board with sorting something out or getting to a solution.
Timing.
Yeah.
All around timing. Do you feel sometimes you could see the pattern and you're thinking like you're almost sadly waiting for them to have like a catastrophic moment that might just shape their path, and it's almost like sometimes the bad thing is the thing that needs to happen. Yeah,
and you know, knowing that in my own personal case as well, that it is a catalyst for change, deep trauma, and this is why again, you know, we wouldn't choose those events as a human going, yeah, okay, I'll sign up to that. But I really believe there's something behind it as to a higher purpose, because they instill such a deep low and a deep level of transformation that life cannot be the same again. So you can either rebuild it in a completely different way, or, you know, recreate the same patterns. And, you know, here we are as well talking about cycle breaking generationally as well. That's a huge thing. And I think, some people are just here to break that cycle.
So what was your childhood like, and what challenges shaped you from an early age? Are there like moments in your childhood that particularly stand out?
Yeah, it really stands out to me, the school years, particularly secondary, because that was such a challenging time for me of wanting so desperately to fit in and feeling so alien. I was quite a bright student, but wasn't there and engaged enough to do well. I mean, I know, sorry, coming into it, but thinking about amazing teachers like Mr. Pepper.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Pepper.
He was ace, wasn't he? And
he was a good teacher.
Yeah, they say you really remember an inspirational teacher, and I really do. And he predicted me A stars, and if I was there a bit more often, I might have got them. But
so what led you to the path of working with and supporting young people through drug and alcohol challenges, and what did that period of your life teach you?
Yeah, for sure. It taught me so much, actually. So after my mum had passed, and the 3-month point where I, you know, hit that fork and decided to really transform my life for the better, I got back after that 6-month stint in France, got back and started volunteering at the local youth club. And just got stuck into it. So I was 19, and I was in reality I was 19, and I was volunteering with people who were up to 18. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic that, again, I never really questioned as not being normal. It was just what I was doing, and I was dead passionate about it. I was sometimes quite shy, but I just needed to be there. That's just what I needed to do. There was never any question. And so just built my way up, really, and started the voluntary route, then got a paid job through the youth service, and then did my degree alongside working. So, and if you'd said to me a couple of years before, or even a year before, I mean, even 6 months before that I'd be doing a degree, never crossed my mind, like from my childhood as well. I didn't cognitively think, okay, I'm not someone who's going to have a degree, but I certainly never strived for university, or was never sort of told that was going to be a likely option for me, or was something I'd ever thought about. So a friend was doing it, the same degree, the youth and community work degree, and just applied and got in. And I was really lucky, if you like, fortunate again to be in the position where I could work and commute and do that. And I went and did the degree alongside work, and I loved it. And then started doing the drugs work in my student placement with the youth offending team. So I kind of branched over from the youth service to the youth offending team. And my goodness, those kids, those years taught me so much about myself predominantly, and about caring, and about the things that we've talked about, you know, and about really the very basic needs of what people you know, what supports people is the very basic needs, like how are you doing and what do you need today? That was probably one of our biggest takeaways. But also realizing in hindsight, again, much further down the line, that actually those kids were quite a mirror for my own healing.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize at the time that as I was supporting them, I was healing from my own trauma and
that
from
makes sense.
Yeah, and it was this massive mirror. And I believe that everything's a mirror anyway. There's always two-way learning in interactions and conversations, and that's the beauty of life, really, and being open to learning. And there's always things to share and to grow and learn from. And I guess they were just a massive mirror for me to grow and learn from about myself, and kind of looking back after that time, being like, wow. It really transformed me because it gave me a purpose. It gave me, a healthy role in helping them to heal. And really, I was healing alongside.
Yeah,
sure.
that home actually, because made me like reflect on my journey.
Okay.
And the many years I spent like predominantly late 20s through to like late 30s of feeling quite sorry for myself, really, and like going through different bits of trauma myself and depression, anxiety, really poor gut health. But then I feel like I went through a healing process where I looked to people to heal me and support me. And I've got various different people that I'm very, very grateful for that pulled me out of the hole I was in.
Amazing.
And taught me other ways of thinking. And I feel very connected now and very spiritual and at peace and just full of like love and gratitude.
I love that. And there's so much power in shared experience, isn't there?
Yeah.
Even if our circumstances in the day-to-day lives might be different, there's still so much power in sharing experience, because you really empathize then. You're building really mutual understanding with somebody.
It doesn't matter who you are, like where you're from, what your background is, what age you are. Like I've realised none of that really matters when it comes to community and resilience, because all of the fundamental skills of being resilient and balance and wellness, it's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
The same rules apply, don't they? It's no different. So
absolutely, that's amazing. Yeah, I totally agree. There's so much power in community and support, and it's lovely and amazing to see your network just grow, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think again that's real credit to you, because it's engaging and it's putting yourself out there and linking up.
Just being honest,
being authentic.
Being honest, because it takes a lot of courage just to like be you and not be like scared of the repercussions. Or I've always worried about what people think.
Yeah.
Like really, really conscious, really conscious of, and don't know what's enabled me to do this, really, because I am very self-conscious. So to put the camera on and speak openly and bring different people on as guests that I feel all represent like a different part of the way I feel.
Yeah.
It's quite daunting, really.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that's quite brilliant, because again, you're sharing that experience of,
I know what's the other side though of those feelings of fear and anxiety and knowing that it's the right thing to do, but it's going to take a lot of effort and perseverance to do it. I know what's the other side, because that's like the approach that's helped me to get to where I am. Every time something feels uncomfortable or there's doubt there, then I know that's just my ego trying to protect me and convince me it's a bad idea just because my ego doesn't want me to look silly.
I love that. And it goes back to that thing that I really resonated with about, you feel safe enough once you've created that safety in your life to kind of push through those feelings.
Yeah.
And go, actually, I have created a safe enough space to expand my comfort zone here, which is, again, credit to you to doing that work and that investment in yourself and your work, your journey. Yeah, it's amazing.
Right. Motherhood.
Yes.
So such a defining part of your journey. And every time I used to go to St Mary's Beach, I'd see you down there.
Yeah.
And I could just tell that that's your happy place. It's my happy place as well, that beach.
Yeah,
it's another, whenever I'm down at like St Mary's Beach or other places and you're just with your family in nature, like I take things in more, like I notice things differently. So what have your children taught you about resilience and love?
Wow. That's a big question. And motherhood, the most defining thing of all, defining and challenging and the best. I always said as soon as my son was born, I think it's the hardest but the bestest job. And, they teach me so much about myself, again, with that mirror, because it's, what's mum need? Okay, is mum stressed today? Is mum like motivating today? And it's that mirror, because you're having to check yourself and your reactions and your response, so it's that constant kind of feedback of like, where am I at and how are we doing this, guys, but yeah, they're obviously my world, and it's super important to me to try and inspire them that we're more than just that rat race you mentioned, so we're all in it and we're doing the system thing, and we've got to be in the system and they've got to go to school and all of that, but those breaks, those moments down at St Mary's and wherever else is the connection time, and I really hope they get that. And I think my biggest wish for them is that they know they're unconditionally loved and worthy. That's another thing that's really important to me, and I think that kind of thing can get lost in the rush of life. Those key moments of connection.
How did your childhood experiences shape the way you approach parenting?
Yeah, this is a really big one for me, and it's definitely been a source of constant growth and reflection. I'm probably quite hypersensitive on that side of things, as in, I've been so worried about damaging them. Inevitably they're not wrapped in cotton wool, and there's a world out there that, they're going to be exposed to. And, I'd love to say that I feel like I'd got it all perfect and right, and I haven't. That's the other thing. There's things I feel I wish I'd been further along the line for that period or whatever. But we're at where we're at, and we're doing the best we can in any given day. So yeah, parenting's like just such an interesting journey with the reflection side of it. But I just hope that they, know that love, know that unconditional love. And I think my childhood being so traumatic has been a blessing and a curse for them, in terms of just being so mindful of getting it right, but having to allow myself the humanness of not being perfect has been a big one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm going to read you a message from Sharon now.
Oh, intriguing.
So who is Sharon?
She is a dear friend. She's actually soul family. So she's known lovingly by my kids as auntie.
Really?
And she's been an incredible support. Again, she knows my background. We met really synchronistically again, and got chatting instantly about, book writing and visions and our dreams and how we're making them a reality. I want to say about 8 years ago. Yeah. And she's just a beautiful soul who is so heart-led and so driven by fairness and the community and, what's good for all and supporting people.
Definitely. Sharon has given me a story.
Okay.
So here we go. So I met Stella when she visited my shop, Heart of Torbay, back in 2016. We became firm friends very quickly, and I was overjoyed when Stella started to offer her therapies and services at the shop. From the moment I met Stella, her incredible spirit and warmth shone through. Over the years, I have come to realise the incredible strength, determination and focus she has, not only in overcoming her own traumas to enable her to support others, but in the pure love, strength, teachings and heart she offers her gorgeous children day in, day out. I'm so proud of my beautiful friend and know that her hopes and dreams of sharing her lived experience will be an incredible beacon of light and saviour to so many. Stella, I love you. Keep on shining.
Oh, that is really beautiful. That's stunning. That brings us
nice.
here. Yeah, that's really touched me. That's really touching, because I think as well, we just tend to get, or I've just gotten on with it. You just do it and you're just driven and you just do it. And often, like I said to you, it doesn't feel like there's a choice. I'm just showing up and I'm just doing the things. But looking back in hindsight, you don't always realise how far you've come.
No, so you don't see yourself through someone else's eyes, do you?
No, you really don't. Especially if I've been prone to being more critical of myself and, quite hard on myself, actually. And again, that's something I've really worked on recently and feel quite differently about now. But that's been a long process. Yeah. So, yeah, it's lovely to have that feedback.
No, it's nice.
Dear soul, and that's a beautiful...
That's a nice message. Get the sense, and it's something I was doing, where you've done the work and you feel like you've developed yourself and you've had this journey, but then there's moments where you feel like you're not doing as well.
Yeah.
And then there's a secondary emotion to it where you've got the frustration with yourself because you have been doing so well.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're probably the same as me there, where when it's something that my therapist helped me with, where it's around not kind of holding on to the good bits.
Yeah, okay.
And just letting it all, like, just flowing through the good and the bad, rather than
Yeah.
like trying to press pause on, oh, this is all good now. This is like the perfect formula. Whatever I've done today, I'll do tomorrow because it worked. Whereas life just isn't like that.
No, it really isn't. Again, that's like reminds me of remembering. I've had to remind myself on so many occasions that we're here for all the colours. You know, we're here for that full spectrum of the messy human experience and allowing ourselves to not be perfect. And that's been huge for me, Ollie, as well. That's even, you know, something I have to work on regularly, but it's definitely reframed into allowing ourselves that humanness is massive.
Yeah, definitely. So Sharon's question, if you could go back and speak to your younger self when things were at their hardest point, what would you say to her?
Love yourself deeply. I know that one instantly because,
wow.
I know that one instantly.
That was instant.
Yeah, because I've thought about this and I've thought about that girl, you know, back then. She just needed love. She just needed more love than she was getting. And knowing what I know now from this viewpoint, looking back in hindsight, is I was outsourcing it. I was looking in all the wrong places for the love that I didn't feel I was nourished enough with in the childhood home. So, you know, if I could go back and give myself some more of that love so that I didn't look in the wrong places as much, that would have been amazing. But you know, again, here we are and all the learning and all the things. But yeah, it's really interesting because some people, I don't know, you know, again, I have that thing, you don't know what people are thinking and you kind of worry what people think or you're conscious of what people might think. And I know sometimes I've been, certainly in more recent years, more confident at putting myself out there online or whatever. And that has not been my natural default mode at all.
No.
You know, so some people might think, oh, she's really confident. But that has taken an enormous amount of work because it's actually come from the opposite. It's actually come from not loving myself, not valuing myself. I've had really low like self-confidence, self-esteem, not feeling worthy. And in a way, that's where the gift comes in because then you gift it to yourself. And that's massively powerful, I've found.
No, fair play. That's like, I can't imagine how much energy that took.
Yeah.
And awareness like of that's my mission, even though it doesn't feel like I've got the strength to do it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, it's not been a natural, you know, mode. Or...
What is it that made you do it then? What was that
I think it's
thing?
Yeah, what is that thing? What is that bit? And this is something I've
Because I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I find myself doing things. I'm like, I don't know how I've done that.
Yeah. And I feel like it's such an accumulative effect of the experience over the years of, I think, of getting it wrong, if that's even a word, like wrong like that, as in, you know, because we're meant to learn through trial and error, aren't we? Through making mistakes, and there's no such thing as a mistake because it's learning. And I really feel like it's through, you know, knowing what we don't like and knowing how we don't want to feel, that again, that becomes the gift to reframe.
So do you think because like your childhood and the traumas you experienced were so severe and so painful that when you have these moments of knowing that you need to do something or you'd like to do it, but you don't know if you've got the strength to do it, you almost think, well, it can't be as hard and as traumatic and as painful as what I went through as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the worst that can happen? I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And I think I've also learnt recently about myself that I haven't grown and gained those gifts from the trauma. I've had those, you know, gifts. I didn't see that, but I've overcome them and found them. It's not the trauma. You know, again, I'd really hope that anyone listening to this who's been through trauma, you know, you're not who you are today, a stronger person because of the trauma. No. It's because of how you've overcome that trauma.
The journey you've had from then to now.
Yeah, the decisions you've made to use it in that way, to find the gifts from it, to reframe whatever negatives it's given, you know, gifted you. And I really see it as like these things gift you those massive key learning, transformative like opportunities to grow.
Yeah, definitely. Beautiful. So your journey is definitely really inspiring. Where is the best place for people to find more about your work and what you're doing?
So currently I'm still doing some holistic therapies, writing my book and finishing that by June. So people can find out a bit more about that, the journey of the book, some of the messages of the books. It's really designed to be really supportive for other people transforming their trauma. And that will all be on my socials. So Instagram and Facebook. Evolve with Grace on Instagram and Stella Grace on Facebook. And I've also got a website, www.stellagrace.me. Yeah.
At the moment, I'm trying to manage the amount I'm on social media, because I've just launched the community, and I can see once the podcast is going that I'm going to have more of an urge to check.
Yeah,
and
for
it's that
sure.
almost like validation.
Yeah.
If you put something out there that's showing you like how you feel and a bit around your story, and you want to know that people have resonated with it, or that people like what you're saying, or it's like accepting you for your truest self.
Yeah, I love that. I love your honesty about that, because I think many of us are doing that, having those thought processes, but not always talking about it. And, you know, we see the glitzy photos and we see, you know, all the ideals, and it's really easy to seek that validation. Yeah. I think generally as people, again, we want that sense of belonging, don't we? We want to fit in.
We all do. So, after everything you've been through, what do you believe is the biggest lesson life has taught you?
To narrow it down to one is so tricky. There's so many things that, you know.
Just whatever first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay. I think keeping going, you know, the real like basics in a day of like keeping going, not taking things personally.
Yeah.
You know, just take the next step.
Yeah.
That real simple basic stuff.
And I really feel that energy myself with the next step.
Yeah.
And there's a story back, something that had hit me on an Instagram reel, the man telling the story, and then I in turn then retold the story. The boy and the horse walking in the woods, and the boy's feet are tangled, and he can see where he's trying to get to. He knows that that's the direction he's heading, but he's just overwhelmed. And he says to the horse, I just can't see a way through. There's no chance. I haven't got the energy. I'm exhausted. I don't see the point. So I'm going to give up. Can't see a way through. And the horse says to the boy, can you see your next step? And the boy says, yes. And the horse says, we'll just take that. And it was just at that moment when I watched it, reflected on what that meant. And it's so true. So when I recited it back in the community in one of my videos, and then one of the community members showed that they had listened to it and recited back what it meant to them, I was like, wow, you can have an impact on people.
Absolutely.
So what does it mean to you then, the next step?
I really love that. And I did see that post, and it's brilliant because it's really powerful. Yeah. And it's fascinating that you bring that up today, actually, because even someone, and I know you'll resonate with this, someone who's been very committed to doing their self-work and their reflection and, you know, developing in all the ways, there's still challenges, there's still fears, there's still doubt, there's still all the things come up, but it's just taking that next step. Just this week, I really had to do that dance with myself about this is anxiety provoking, this situation's, you know, causing me fear. What am I going to do? Okay, I'm just going to take this next baby step. And it's definitely not that we don't feel the fear and that we have all this stuff sorted, that life then becomes easy once you've done your work. It's, you know, really it's the opposite.
Wow.
Yeah,
no, it is. It is.
It really is.
And like, if someone could have said to you this morning, let's do the podcast another time.
Yeah.
Like deep down, which there's a big part of you and probably me that we spoke about earlier that would have taken that option, I think, because it's hard.
The things that shift you are, you know, expanding you that are tough because you're expanding and you're growing and it's challenging and it's bringing, you know, learning. So, yeah, I think it's incredibly interesting that when you're on a path of growth, you have more opportunities to have those challenging emotions and thoughts and experiences, but it's just that constant choice to keep taking that action.
I think something I find really hard is because I've learned ways to connect with myself, like through sea swimming and nature and community, that I go to those places and at that point I make decisions about my life because I know that is me, like in my heart kind of space. And I'm able there to make really good decisions for myself. And I know that's the place to go to make important decisions. So I go and do that. And then I put things in place and make changes. And I've done that quite a lot recently where I've made some quite big changes. And I know that those moments and those decisions are right. But then I come away from the environment I'm in and go back to everyday life. And then I get tired and stuff happens and I get run down, the balance goes, and then I forget like the reasons why, because I'm no longer out in nature.
Yeah.
So then I start getting frustrated with myself because I don't feel that I've made the right decision. Like the easy thing would just be to go back to old habits, because at that point, that's what I feel like doing.
Yeah.
So it's really hard sometimes to persevere, and like that constant inner battle.
Definitely.
That you've made a decision, but for whatever reason, you then regret it because you're
Yeah.
no longer out in nature.
Yeah.
And you're just getting on with life, and you think, why did I do that?
And that's just so the human element, isn't it, of us, you know, and ideally, you know, and I know we're going to talk about some Reiki stuff, and I love that you're sharing your tools and those mindful spaces and nature and all of that stuff is amazing. But the reality is we can't spend, you know, 3 weeks at a time in that space, sadly.
Time.
Of course. So we've got to, you know, navigate the bits. I've become much more comfortable in making mistakes, you know, as in being human, not being perfect, and seeing them as, what am I learning from this?
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes you kind of ask yourself, well, are you sure that's the right thing? And then this other voice says, yeah, go on. And you're like, all right, well, as long as you're sure, and you just go with it, even though you've got so much doubt.
1,000,000%.
So much hesitation and fear, but there's this other part of you that knows.
Definitely. And my example this week was that when I sat into, if you like, in myself, in the space of the decision I was making, it was clear and it was quiet. So there was like noise and, you know, the busyness of life and a bit of the chaos around me, but it was like that was outside of me.
What is Reiki? And how has it changed your relationship with yourself and enabled you to heal?
Yeah, wow. This is a powerful one, actually, in terms of one of the life-changing tools. And, you know, I'm aware that word gets bandied around, you know, life-changing stuff, but it really has been for me. So Reiki is a really gentle but powerful healing modality. It's from Japan. And I think really in a nutshell, over in the East, they're a lot more au fait with, you know, working on all the bodies. So not just the physical one, mental one, but also the emotional and the spiritual bodies. So Reiki really works on our energetic flow, and it works to bring all of the systems in the body back into equilibrium. And like I say, this isn't our bread and butter necessarily. I mean, there's loads more out there in the West now about mindfulness, and, you know, meditation's not such a swear word, but still we're a bit behind. And Reiki's really great in the sense of it's one of the many things that have become more accessible to us to be able to use. We don't always afford the luxury of sitting somewhere for 3 weeks or being in our mindful place for, you know, considerable amounts of time. So Reiki is something that we can do kind of on the hop or as a treatment, but, you know, generally it's an easy, simple thing to access, basically, and it brings about an increased sense of calm. And that one thing alone is how it's changed my life. I had a lot of anger, kind of classic healing trauma response, had a lot of anger, had a lot of anxiety, had a lot of depression, used a lot of distracting means, either, you know, physical things or relationships to kind of numb. And so what Reiki did was taught me something that I could access. Again, there was that self-investment in my own healing journey. It all starts with self-healing. And so I undertook the self-healing journey. It instilled a sense of calm, and it taught me how to love myself, which is, I think, is pretty huge.
That's the key.
Yeah.
So what does it involve then?
So it's really a 21-day kind of healing plan after you've done your level 1. So level 1, it all starts with self-healing, and that is the premise and the foundation for the whole Reiki journey. And if you think about that, again, being really transferable to life, you know, everything starts with us. We can't pour from an empty cup. You know, we can't help everyone else until we've helped ourselves, or certainly started looking at that. So it really starts with self, and that's what makes it, you know, really powerful. We go on a self-healing journey for 21 days after the training, and you're self-healing every day. And, you know, the harder that is for people to find 1 hour in 24, you know, can show where the balance is out. So if we can't find one of those 24 hours for ourselves, which can be really hard to do, then it can show really where our balance is out. So we prioritize that hour a day. We give a self-treatment. We also learn to get used to energy in our hands, because, again, it's not something we're taught in schools here. It's not something we're conditioned to look at, think about the energy body and the feeling of energy in our hands. So there's some tasks and some skills around that. And then once our 21 days are done, we are then ready to start working on level 1. It's friends, family, pets and plants. And then level 2, you can reach the practitioner milestone and practice Reiki professionally, and have all the skills to bring it into, you a second income or a business, which is great because, again, it makes it accessible for people. And then level 3 is the master level, where you can just absorb all the goodness of the level 3 vibration, because every level raises your vibration. You're attuned to each level. But after level 3, you can also teach if you wish.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes people have part of the puzzle, like they might, like you touched on balance and your cup and all that kind of stuff, which if you kind of go at it half-hearted, and you might learn something yourself, like, oh, that's a better way of operating.
Yeah.
But you haven't got all of those bits all lined up together, then it doesn't work. No. It certainly feels like with me, it's like I've taken steps forward, but then not had all of the tools.
Yeah.
So would you say Reiki is the full package of being mindful and self-care and loving yourself, the whole encompassing of your well-being journey?
Yeah, for me, yes. So I would definitely say Reiki's not the only thing.
No.
Reiki's a tool. And if that resonates with people like it resonated with me, awesome. And I'm all about putting things out there that I've tried and tested that have worked for me. That's why I'm able to share them really passionately. Yeah. I couldn't share it with passion if I hadn't experienced that life-changing result myself. And again, like we've talked about before, it's always a work in progress. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, okay, am I needing more Reiki? Am I needing to bring the Reiki back into the kids' bedrooms because we've slipped with our routine, or That's whatever. Cool. So yeah, it's again that adjustment to life always. Like, what are we navigating today, and have we forgotten again? Are we, it's all of that dance. But yes, Reiki does really encompass giving you the mindful skills and the calm and the quick on the go tool for whatever life may throw at you. So for me, it has been really all encompassing. And this also came from a journey of learning in the 21 days, because where I was saying about the balance being shown, if you can't find that 1 hour for yourself, and I can go out doing that as well, certainly after that 21 days, when you're not pressed to do it for a training reason, it's like, okay, how am I going to keep that up? And, in the 21 days, I noticed that if I left myself to the end of the day, I'd fall asleep on myself. I'd be there, trying to do my self-healing at 11 o'clock at night. Of course I was going to fall asleep. So that became my learning. Okay, why are you leaving yourself last? So it's, again, all that learning that's really transferable for the rest of life. Who's top of the list, as in, I've got to put myself at the top of the list because I've got to look after two beautiful beings, so it's also turning it around. So I think, again, we're really conditioned to do for everyone else, which is, can come from a beautiful sentiment. But actually, unless we're good in our own alignment, we're not going to be parenting the best. We're not going to be feeling very well, So it makes sense to start there. Yeah,
definitely. So what's the best time of the day that you found to do that? Would it be, I'm assuming, first thing in the morning?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I'm actually not in a routine of doing my Reiki in the morning at the moment. I'm doing it, it's after breakfast. I'm actually doing it 3 times a day at the moment for all of us. Yeah.
Wow.
Because we've been working through some pulliness over the winter and stuff, and just getting ourselves back on track. I can start feeling overwhelmed. The anxiety can creep up a bit more often. I notice I'm reaching for foods that are easy, quick and easy rather than nutritious.
The whole thing falls off, doesn't it?
The whole thing falls apart, back into those realms.
That. And I think that shows how far you have come.
Yeah.
When you can feel when it's not right.
Yeah. You recognise it and it's okay, let's get back on track.
But then it's one of the hardest things is going back in the other direction again.
Yeah.
And you can spiral quite quickly.
Yeah.
So what do you do for you?
Yeah, so surfing's my passion. It's been something that I've gone to as my time out and my place of sanctuary. My place of sanctuary is the sea, Ollie. I mean,
Likewise.
saw you. Yeah.
Likewise.
When I've bumped into you, it's been St Mary's Bay.
Or Shelstone.
Yeah, I grew up around Shelstone as well. It's gorgeous, isn't it? We're lucky. Very fortunate to live where we live by the sea. And I could live somewhere else, but it'd have to have the sea. So, my thing is surfing. And to me, just that time away is complete sanctuary. But what I also love about surfing, which I think can be missed if you get too caught up on seeing the glitzy images on social media, is the massive learning that the ocean gives you. It's so humbling. You can be out there and absolutely beasted.
Well, you don't know what's going on underneath that surface, do you?
You don't. And
currents or the waves or the temperature.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, it's always a different spice to it.
Yeah.
And I've really learned that through the winter.
Definitely. Well, every day is different, isn't it? You can go to the same beach every day, but actually the conditions can be different every single day. And so, yeah, loads of learning. And the ocean always shows, I saw this on social media the other day. Somebody was talking about the ocean being a mirror, and I just so resonated with it, because it was like, if you're paddling out and you've not been doing your wellness lately, your shoulders are weak, the mirror, the ocean, the mirror is going to be your mirror and show you that. You know, if you're not feeling confident one day and you're not quite so, you know, have at it, then the ocean's going to show you that. So, and rather than take that as then, oh, I can't do it, it's like, okay, so I need to step up my fitness again. It slipped, or I need to, you know, have a bit of a pep talk again. Like, where am I at? Come on. What's those limiting beliefs doing? So
just get in that sea.
Yes, get in, get it done.
It's going to help.
It always does.
Yeah. It was probably a turning point for me, to be honest. I found myself down at Fishcombe Cove I think it must have been 18 months ago now. And I think it was the ice baths were becoming quite popular.
Yeah.
And you were seeing like the Wim Hof stuff where you could see the impacts. And I started like doing a little bit of inquisitive research around the impact of cold water. And it was basically telling me that if I go in the sea or cold water, I'm going to be in a better mood. So because of where I was at the time and not in the best place, I thought, what have I got to lose? So I went down to Fishcombe Cove, and I remember clear as day, before I got in the sea, I was consumed with anxiety. And I jumped in the sea, swam out, turned around, looked at the shore and the surroundings, and I just felt like what am I worrying about? I'm just one person on that land that's consumed in my own woes and worries, and now I'm in the sea.
Yeah.
It just felt like the sea just stripped me of my worries at the time. And at that point, I just knew the sea is going to heal me.
For sure.
In a massive way. And it just stripped away everything. It was cold and I wanted to get out, but I thought if I stay in, like some good stuff's going to start happening for me.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
And then I went all through the winter. And every time I went, I felt a little bit better every time I got out. And then it was really like changing. Like I wasn't doing anything different. Like I was still spending the day with my family and doing the same things, but all of a sudden I wasn't inside my head worrying and being anxious and unhappy. I was just like really instantly almost like, how like good is my life?
I love that.
Like, how beautiful are my kids? It was like
amazing. I think it's really hard to pinpoint like what that one thing is about the sea that does that. But, you know, you've got such an accumulation, haven't you? Like, obviously physically, there's all the anti-inflammatory stuff. And then, like, you think about the spiritual connotations. It's like cleansing. And
it's massive.
You know, the point is it works, doesn't it?
Because I was riddled as well with, like, inflammation. I've, for 15, 20 years, suffered with really poor gut health, IBS. Like, every medication and treatment you could think of.
Wow.
And then my shoulder was constantly in pain. And I had frozen shoulder for a couple of months, going back a couple of years. I couldn't move my shoulder at all. My body was just in a mess. Yeah. But it's because of the stress and the anxiety and my body just storing it.
Of course.
And again, the sea, it just seemed to just help everything. My body started working. And then as soon as I felt that positive cycle almost, like the wheels started moving in a positive way, everything then knocks on in a positive like formation, which is the opposite to negativity, because anxiety breeds IBS, breeds anxiety, breeds IBS. As I started shifting it in the other direction, mainly in the sea, for sure, it just healed everything.
I love that. Do you know what else I love about the sea is, like, if I'm going for a surf and it's a couple of hours, that's great, that's amazing, but that is quite a luxury, or quite you know, a big thing to be able to go surfing for a couple of hours. But what I also love about the sea is you can just dip and also have some benefit.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you know, so again, like making it really accessible for people. You can go and have a dip and you so feel like you've achieved something because, like you say, it's cold, it's taking effort, but you come back out feeling amazing.
Sometimes I just go in for 10 seconds.
Yeah. And
it's like almost like fight and flight, get rid of the rubbish, get in the water, come back out, new man.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's incredible. Nearly bloody went on that one, didn't I?
What's that?
When I was talking about my kids and stuff.
Oh.
Don't know if you noticed.
Oh, no, I didn't actually. Oh, bless you. That's really lovely.
So your belief, I am worthy. Explain to me
Yeah.
Why?
So on the face of it, you could think, wow, she's super confident saying that. I am worthy. It's come
Not at all.
from a place of not feeling worthy. So I remind myself that I'm worthy because that's taken an incredible amount of work. I'd say the best part of the last 40 years on that one and reframing it. And the limiting belief that was I'm not good enough, that has I've shifted and reframed, has taken an enormous amount of work and learning. And it's, you know, it's again, it's that beautiful gift. We're given these horrendous circumstances or challenging circumstances that can really instill those core beliefs, but we can use that to reframe as well.
So not feeling worthy, how did that feel?
Yeah, accepting way less than I or anyone else would deserve in relationships, not seeing how my life could look, not seeing my highest potential, generally feeling really low and crap or anxious or whatever, and yet not always valuing myself, not always feeling deserving of the self-care, for example, or you know, whatever the thing might be. So now it's you know, it's such an act of self-love to give myself self-care, because again, it's not something that's come natural to me. I wasn't role modeled that either, and I wasn't role modeled, you know, worthiness. So that again, a little bit of a generational cycle breaker, because I've had to learn that by doing it. Like there was no manual, there's no,
you've learned it.
Like I've had to do it by not feeling it and learn it through that.
So if you didn't feel worthy, do you feel that you would do anything you do now? Would there be that thing inside you that wants to get it right and does the Reiki and looks after your balance and wants to be the best mum? Like, do you feel that feeling worthy yourself is the catalyst for everything you're doing?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been that constant reframe of like not feeling good enough, but doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And then, you know, bringing the human and the ego and all the parts that go, no, what are you doing, Stella? Bringing those along for the journey.
That's the awareness, though, isn't it? That's, like, if you're not aware of that, then you could quite easily get tricked into not following through with things and not having the belief and the confidence to do things.
Yeah.
Like, actually, no, I'm not capable.
Yeah.
But knowing your ego is telling you you're not capable, but still doing it anyway.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, it's also been a lot easier to help support others.
Yeah.
To help them find their worthiness, but still in my own personal life, still receiving or allowing myself, to receive less than I deserve. Because that's such a shift as well from like victim mentality to taking ownership and mastery of your life, you know? And I think that's, even if you're not sitting thinking I'm a victim, you can just be allowing more in than you deserve, than you know you deserve. And that's been a massive thing that, you know, up until recently I was doing.
Which leads me into the Book of Eli.
Yes,
because you've
great film.
basically already answered it in what you just said, because the extracts I've taken, do for others more than you do for yourself.
As I was saying, it's really easy to do for others. It's really easy to pump that support out. And of course, we do with our kids as well. You know, we pump all that love and care out as much as we possibly can, and sometimes leave ourselves to the last of the pile. And I've definitely done that and learned that I can't operate like that, because I'm then not as good a parent and not as, you know, not feeling well. I physically can't do it like that. So we have to put ourselves first. Yeah. And again, the Reiki journey's taught me that, and life's taught me that. So it's turned that on its head. What I love most about the Book of Eli, though, is the overall connotation at the end, the massive metaphor of walk by faith and not by sight. And I just think, yeah, you know, sometimes, again, talking about, as we've talked previously, about taking that next step, whatever it is, just take the baby step, even if you're feeling, you know, crazy, anxious, whatever. It's that next step that sometimes you just know you need to take by faith, rather than because it looks rationally, you know, a great idea, or it's all figured out yet, or, you know, you've got all the parts of the puzzle together. It's sometimes just taking it from a perspective of faith. Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say you're a religious person?
No, not at all.
No.
In terms of, you know, I've enjoyed the spiritual kind of path more, because it's emphasized for me the importance of bringing in our own power, being our own God, really. And so, you know, I've nothing against religion or nothing, you know, totally non-judgmental, whatever works for people.
Definitely.
You know, whatever that faith system is.
Whatever it means to that
whatever
person.
It means to them, and whatever helps to support them. Again, faith is amazing for that.
community. Ultimately.
Absolutely.
It is community.
Yeah. And if for someone that's Christianity or Buddhism, whatever, that's great. If that works for them and that faith is, really paramount in their lives, then amazing. But I definitely have leaned into faith, but it's in the universe. It's in, the higher power that is the magic in the universe, but that I believe we also all have in ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really nice to see when someone's made that realization, because it feels like I never really had my eyes open to that until I started the journey I've been on over the last few years. But then once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then once you've experienced it, you want more.
Definitely.
Because you enjoy what it brings to your life.
Yeah.
And it makes me personally feel like, well, I can't cut corners because I know myself. And whereas before you might think, well, no one really knows. You feel like there is like karma.
Yeah.
And there's consequences.
Definitely.
And like if you do good things from the right place with the right intentions, you're not doing it for reward at that in any particular way, but somehow the universe does reward you.
Yeah, I feel so. And I feel like the universe rewards us when we take the next step as well. When, brave enough to kind of like step up in some way or be really bold or be something that might push through the comfort zone. And then it's like as soon as we do that, the universe meets us.
So why are you so inspired by seeing everyday people overcoming their challenges?
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's understanding that from the background I've had, you really don't know what people are working with. And
you don't know people's stories, do you?
You really don't.
If you look at your childhood, when you put a brave face on for everyone, and people didn't have any idea that's what you're going through, does that give you that sense of not ever judging anyone, no matter how happy they seem or how okay they are? They could be hiding their secret.
There could be all sorts going on behind closed doors. We never really know, what support somebody might really be needing or what challenges somebody is really facing. I think what's really evident is that most people have got something that they're working through because it's the nature of life. Yeah, I think everyday people doing everyday things is also really inspiring because I think, life can be really challenging. There's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of opportunity in that suffering for
people
growth.
Just accept it.
Yeah, it can be really
hard. A lot of people seem to just accept that, this is the way it is.
For sure.
I'm just going to feel rubbish.
Yeah.
Without realising there is another way.
Yeah. And this is why, having these authentic conversations is really powerful. I'm really behind it because it's hopefully inspiring somebody to think a bit differently about their own life.
Well, it helps me to learn, you to learn, the listener to learn, because they might agree or disagree, but in doing so, you've triggered like a thought in the head that they didn't have before.
Exactly. And likewise, there'll be something too where, if you're having a conversation with someone and they will spark something in you as well.
I'm not going to sing it because...
Oh, go on.
No. So listen as your day unfolds, challenge what the future holds from your song.
Desiree,
And I know there's a story there.
There is a story there. So the story there is, it's bittersweet, really. I actually think Desiree was a bit of a goddess before her time because the lyrics of that song, You Gotta Be, are incredibly wise. And there's loads of like gold nuggets in there for just, metaphors of life, daily living. But it's bittersweet because when I was kind of emotionally and sometimes physically kind of caring for my mum, that was our song.
Really?
Yeah, it was our song. And when I went travelling when I was 16, after we left school, I hopped off on a plane. Not in the best personal circumstances, but going travelling was actually really amazing. And I wrote my mum those lyrics of that song in a card. And it was to try and keep her well. It was to try and motivate her, try and G her up. So it was our song, but it was me reminding her and trying to get her to, pick her life back up. We'd often come to this point and I'd be kind of trying to support her. And that song was one of the ways I attempted to do it. So it's a beautiful song. It's also got connotations of, trying to really care for someone who doesn't ultimately know how or ultimately want to change.
Yeah. So what you focus on, you give momentum to. What does that quote mean to you?
Yeah, this is one of my own, actually. I'm not going to say it's not a concept that's not already been out there for, some time that gets bandied around. But this is one of the things that I started to work with, like spiritually, a few years ago. And for the good and the bad, we can, where we face that perception is ultimately what we give energy to. And so for the good and the bad, am I really in my head one day? What am I focusing on? Am I working from my limiting belief, or am I, focusing on what I'm bringing in, what I want to create? So I spend much more time now, and trying to continue this as well, because of course I forget. So I'm trying to spend much more time on focusing on, dreaming. What reality do I want to bring into being? What do I want my house to look like? What do I, want my book to be, published and finished like, and all of that. So yeah, it's about, I think, again, recognizing the imperfection of us humans, but working on, bringing in what we'd like, and again, a bit more mastery, another tool.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel that I agree fully with that quote, because whenever I start going down a rabbit hole of being a bit anxious or thinking about problems that might happen tomorrow, then you create more problems.
Yeah.
And you create micro problems that aren't there.
Yeah.
I've realised that. And that's where a lot of the help I received wasn't allowing me to step back and just look at it from like a third person almost, and thinking, well, do you want to carry on wasting your energy and wasting your time in your head, imagining up these little problems that I realised most of them, if not all of them, never actually came true.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
What a waste of a life, though, it could be if you just live constantly anxious, constantly imagining things and almost preempting, like, if that happens, then this is what I need to do. And like fixating on these plans all the time of how to deal with certain situations that might arise before they've happened, or before they've even shown that they're going to happen.
Well, this is it. Like, we're actually creating our reality through our thoughts, and that's been proven and shown. Quantum physics is the thing. This isn't woo-woo. It's like what we're thinking, we're bringing into being, because the brain doesn't understand the difference. If we're thinking about something really negative, as you say, the body's then going to respond. So it's we're prepped for danger, or we're prepped for threat, or whatever it is. This is why I'm really an advocate for dreaming.
I also think empathy is quite an important part of that, because if you're able to empathise with other people around you, then rather than reacting to someone's behaviour, you can step back and like think of a reason in your head, like, as to why. So you might, like, whereas before you might have thought, oh, why has he been rude to me? Whereas if you come at it from a different place of like, I wonder what's gone on behind the scenes to make that person a bit stressed or a bit rude.
Goodness, and
straight away you don't feel the same. You don't hold on to it. There's no like, oh wait, but you better apologise. It's just like, oh, I hope he's all right. You might even then go and have a chat and say, oh, everything all right, mate? Notice you're like, feel a bit stressed. Is there anything you want to talk about? And all of a sudden you've like completely changed every part of your life.
Absolutely. It's really interesting. You just reminded me of a story. I came across a guy a couple of weeks ago, 80-year-old guy surfing. He was down at one of the local spots, and I was getting out there a couple of weeks ago, and this guy started talking, and I noticed he was a bit older, and he just had this really lovely energy, and he was gentle, and we just had a chat about how he had a good session. And he said, yeah, I've had a really good session. I'm having a great day. I'm 80 years old and I'm still surfing. And I was like, wow. I thought that's so inspiring. And he said, do you want to know my secrets? And I was like, absolutely. Where's the notebook kind of thing? And he was like, it's really simple. It's 3 things. Don't rush. Don't take things personally, and ask for help. And
Second
I was
one
like,
for me.
This is so, because like you just said, you don't know what's going on in someone's head. I've been absolutely classic as well before. What have I said? What have I done? What is it about me that's, why that person's behaving really that way?
You're like overly analysing everything that you say to people.
Yeah.
Whereas half the time it's like just gone in that other person's head. It's like, I'm not even registered. But previously I used to be terrible for it. Or I'd fixate on things. Oh, why did I say that? Or why did that person say something to me?
Oh, 1,000,000%.
And trying to like read into all these weird and wonderful ideas. When really there was nothing there. Not taking things personally. What a wise man.
His energy was amazing. I just thought, please, yes, I want. That's where I want to be. I hope
I'm still out swimming and stuff when I'm 80.
Well, I think it goes to show it's it's a lovely life. It's when you incorporate that kind of activity, it's longevity.
Yeah, and if that's the way his mind works now, and he lives by those rules, then it just shows like how well you can approach life. No matter how old you are.
Definitely. I mean, I can resonate with all three things he says, but not rushing as well. That has been such a thing that is, always quite destructive. And I'm sure it doesn't actually get you anywhere quicker. It's franticness, and it's,
No, I definitely resonate with that fully. So last question. So if someone is listening and feeling stuck in their own struggles, what would you like them to take away from your story?
To be reminded that they are their own safest person and they have the power to change by baby steps even.
Anyone can change.
Absolutely. At any time, in any day, in a moment. I mean, your whole life can change in a day. It really can.
It's the penny dropping.
Yeah. Yeah. And knowing that I think knowing that you're good enough, knowing that you're worthy enough might come a bit later, but that is ultimately what it is as well.
Would you say forgiveness is a big part of that?
Yeah.
Like forgiving yourself, forgiving others.
Yeah.
But truly, like, just sitting with that.
Absolutely. The forgiveness of self is huge. And, even in my situation with my mum, I definitely made the decision straight away to forgive her. But that didn't mean I felt forgiveness for 20 years. It was huge, but it was that decision. And I think that's the key factor, isn't it? It's just deciding to change or to move forwards in whatever way that is the absolute half of the battle and where it all comes from.
So do you know much about like your mum's childhood and if it came from like a place of her living a life where she like just learned the behaviours but didn't kind of step back and do what you did? She actually followed a path, like a cycle from her generational trauma.
It was exactly that, Ollie. So my gran was a drinker. Okay. Actually, most of my family members were, because she would have grown up. She went to a ballet boarding school. Right, okay. So she was training quite avidly to be a professional dancer. She was an incredible ballerina. Later, I heard stories where she'd go home at the weekends or in the holidays and she'd see her mum, my gran, the same, inebriated on the floor, not able to have the capacity to look after her. My granddad, I think, was very solid. So that was something, she did have that support. But later, she wasn't able to dance anymore. She had an injury in her knee, and that was really all she wanted to do.
Thank you so much for coming on and spending time talking today.
Yeah, no problem
at all. It's really confirmed to me that this is what I'm destined to be doing.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so pleased. Thank you for having me.
No, it's been really humbling to hear your story, actually, because we all go through our struggles, but there's levels of what you can go through and still come out the other side shining, and showing to me what true resilience is all about.
Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here and share the story. And